What's up? It's Andy Grammer with Jag.
Hi, this is Carly Rae Jepsen, and you're listening to Jag.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Jonas hanging with Jag.
This is Heather Knox with the hottest Jag I've ever seen.
Ryan Seacrest with Jag.
It's B.O.B. checking in with my homie Jag. So much swag with my homie Jag.
It's the Jag Show Podcast.
Welcome in. This weekend, I was actually caught up on all of my subscribed podcasts, and I wanted something to listen to while I was walking the dog. So I actually opened up my SiriusXM app and found this week's Pop 2 Countdown, a snapshot of the top 30 songs this week during a specific year in the 2000s. It's hosted by my former Syracuse classmate and all-around good guy, Rich Davis, who does a phenomenal job. For me, the sentimental value is off the charts. I graduated college in 2002, started full-time in radio in 2004, so if there's a song from that decade, I can generally tell you which radio station I played it at, and there's usually a funny story that goes along with it too. My point is this. I listen to a lot of people talking, podcasts about news, politics, sports, the ones I produce, you name it. It really can burn you out listening to all this talk. And with us spending less time in our cars in 2020, we may not listen to music as much. So my piece of advice this week is throw on some music once in a while and just escape. You need it, especially as we get near the end of what's been a crazy year. All right, this is a podcast about podcasts, so let's get caught up. Apple still has the lion's share of in-app listening, but there are actually more podcasts now on Spotify. That is thanks in part to 1 million podcasts going up through the Anchor app in 2020. Apple has roughly 1.7 million shows total. Spotify has 1.9 million total. So that's about who has the most shows, but who has the most listening. I told you in November that Buzzsprout says Spotify listening is quickly catching up to Apple. Well, not according to Libsyn. Apparently the jury on that is still out, depending on who you ask. Got some links in the show notes to follow. Speaking of Spotify, they've released their top shows of 2020. They are in order. Number 1, the Joe Rogan Experience. Number 2, TED Talks Daily. Number 3, The Daily from the New York Times. Number 4, the Michelle Obama podcast, which started as a Spotify exclusive and then expanded. And finally, number 5, Call Her Daddy. We've talked about the drama around that podcast in previous episodes of The Jag Show. Does all the stress of 2020 keep you up at night? Some would suggest listening to a lighthearted podcast in bed, but there's actually a podcast designed to help you fall asleep. It's called Sleep Cove, and there's a story linked in the show notes from Pod News. A new service called Poise claims to turn your text into speech, not with AI, which is pretty imperfect still, but with professional voice actors, with rates, they say, of $11 for every 500 words. I'm intrigued, don't know much about it yet, link in the show notes. And finally, when should you publish your podcast? Resonate Recordings says it's best to publish your podcast super early in the morning and in the middle of the week, as in Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. As for me, I'm sticking to my current schedule for 5-Minute Fridays, partly for consistency and partly because I don't want to change the name of 5-Minute Friday. As I wrap up today, I do want to mention an offer that is good throughout the end of 2020. Normally, I offer podcast audits. I'll listen to a full episode of your show and give you plenty of critiques and pointers and ideas. Normally, that runs $99. That is on sale for $49 through the end of the year. I will listen to one full episode of your podcast, give you a detailed critique. If you're trying to improve upon your podcast, I'm happy to do that. All the links and more are on my website, jagindetroit.com. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you next week. Later.
Thanks for listening to the Jag Show Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe in Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. For help with your podcast, find Jag on social media at Jag in Detroit or on the web at jagindetroit.com.